I've got the valve cover pulled off, and I found my problem. That is a broken timing chain. So when I removed that bolt and it fell and I couldn't find it anywhere, it obviously went down this side and went down into the timing chain and did not make it to the oil pan, but is stuck in there somewhere. So I get to do a new project, which is pull the end off and replace that timing chain. So I pulled up the instructions on how to yank all this stuff out, and rented a puller for that, and so I'll get to yanking the whole end of the engine out. All right, so the auto parts store near me in an Advanced Auto, you can rent these tools. So this is a crankshaft pulley puller, and nice thing to rent. It was like $130 or something. So when you're done, you just take it back and you get your money back. So I got the pulley off. Unfortunately, the instructions tell me that I have to line this thing up, dead center it with this, but obviously I can't turn it. So I'm gonna have to figure that after the fact when I do the install. Now I gotta remove all the rest of the pulleys and then all the bolts holding the case on, and get this thing opened up. All right, so I've got the timing chain cover off. All the goodies are over there on the side, the water pump, some brackets, the tensioner, so on are over there. And get down here and you can see what happened. So right there is the little screw that fell down to the the lift screw that broke and fell in, and it wound up the chain and ground it all up in there. So not sure, just literally just open it, so I'll start pulling things apart. There's some chunks of stuff in there, so I'm not sure what those are, but we'll figure out if it's completely damaged or if it's just the sprocket that's in chain or what. So here we go. All right, so got this thing all pulled apart now, cleaned out from all the chips and things. I've just removed the oil pump, which is right there. I'm going to replace it. I know it can be a weak link in this engine, and I'm in here, so I might as well do it. So the broken bits, the outside part. So I got the new parts in, so I'm going to start putting this back together again. I'm not doing the water pump. My water pump is just fine. It's great. So oil pump, chain, sprockets, what else? The little timing, the position sensor ring and sensor need to be replaced too. So I'm at about 100 and I don't know, maybe 25, 130 bucks in parts to put this thing back together again. And surprisingly, this is not the hardest thing in the world. There's a great video some gentleman did on rebuilding one of these engines, and he had great instructions on how to do this, as well as I pulled up the PDF instructions as well. So I got my computer out here and I'm ready to follow along and figure this whole thing out. All right, so I'm going to try and show you the best that I can how this works. You've got a little round circle right there and one black link there. On the original chain it was yellow. On the sprocket, and this, you want this pointing straight up, that little tab. Then you come up here and you've got a little dot there, chain link goes there. You've got a stripe on top and you want a chain link right there. And in the middle, these two are supposed to line up nice and straight. So unfortunately, they just don't want to sit that way. So I kind of got them that way, got the chain on, took a couple extra hands, got it on there. And then you got the two new little guides. So it's all on. This is the sprocket that'll go on here next, and that is for the position sensor. And so this is lined up and ready to go. This is quite simple. Okay, so I got a kit for this off eBay for this timing chain replacement. It was all of 90 bucks. This gasket, or this little rubber gasket that goes in right there, that's the old one. It's really just a pressure fit. You push it right out. I used a 32 millimeter socket and popped it right out. Pushed the other one in from the other side with just my thumb. All right, so I've got everything put in, everything tightened up. This is timing chain piece timer. You do the F up, which just matches with the notch. It's the only way it can go in. So got the guides in. I've got the surfaces all cleaned up all the way around the outside. You have to put some gasket sealer on 4 or 6 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the top 5, 6. Oh, sorry, 7. You also have to do this here in the middle. And you do that here, right here. You just clean the old one out. It's got a little channel for it, so you fill that up and seal it up. The screws on this have all sorts of different torques. So make sure you follow the sheet for that. And then the water pump will go on and everything else will go back up. So wish me luck. This is the hardest part with these things always, because you hope you get them sealed up and everything's sealed, and you don't know until you put oil back in it and turn it on to see if it's going to leak. So hopefully this goes well. All right, so here it is all put together. Some tidbits of advice. Take the cover off of the water pump. Makes it much easier to get to all the bolts. You need to put this bracket on first. Well, you can put it on after you put on the water pump. Each of these has totally different torque specs. This one down here at the bottom, obviously it has a notch, so you use a notch up, slip it on. I use a rubber mallet, tap it on nice and snug. It has these holes on the sides. They're threaded. You use that with the pulley, with the puller, to get it off. Now, what I did to tighten it to the 87 foot-pounds is put that on, put this in here, and that way I could torque against it while I turned it and got it to 87 foot-pounds without too much trouble. So we're kind of put together. I guess I have the one pulley left to put on here, and then it's all done. I can go and put the top on, put the valve cover back on. So not too bad. Hopefully I don't have any leaks, and then it'll be a project well done. All right, so the whole thing's all put back together again, at least the end is. Now I just could put on the valve cover. But a couple of things to keep in mind. Don't tighten this down until you put in the chain tensioner, which is right here on the back. There's just not quite enough room right there, so it has to be a little bit loose. The alternator has to go back on. It obviously attaches there and there, and then that'll slide on. And then once your chain tensioner is in, you release the chain tensioner. It has a little hook that keeps it retracted. You rotate this backwards, so counterclockwise, and you'll just hear it snap, and then the chain will be snug as could be. Also, I replaced the position sensor right here, so that just screws in right there and clips in the back. And so all the different pieces are back in, and now I can put the valve cover back on and get this thing ready to go back in the car. All right, so it's all put back together. I got the pulley back on. This is the tensioner. The belt tensioner's all tightened up. Valve cover's on. Everything's reconnected, bolted down. A couple tidbits you got to think about: the oil dipstick does attach to one of the bolts on the side cover, so you got to think about that one. But there's my leftover parts. This is the worst of the bunch. This is the oil pump, and it took a beating when the chain came off. This used to be a big curved portion here, basically broke it off, and that's what all the chunks and stuff that were inside there. My broken chain and the old guides. So it's all ready to go back in the car. So I was really hoping to get this done before I left on vacation. So at least get the engine ready to go in. I don't think I'm going to be able to put it back in until I get back off vacation. But so there might be a little break in the videos, but I have a few backed up. I'll get a few of them prepped and out. But we're back in business.